debate. I'm your host Sana Mapool with you at PTV WORLD. In today's show, we're going to take a look at two important stories. The first is in reference to, of course, the massive 50% tariffs that have been placed on India. And this is something, of course, that we've seen happen with regards to the U.S. announcements coming in first of 25% and then an additional penalty of 25% being announced in terms of the import of Russian oil. And we've seen that the U.S. has been speaking about how there is, of course, a lot of concerns with regards to what it is that is going on in the current scenario as to what this means for the relationship between both India and, of course, the United States. We've also seen that Mr. Modi has spoken about how he's going to be paying a heavy price himself with regards to whatever is going on, but hasn't really spoken outrightly about the tariffs. He did mention that whatever happens with regards to the farmers is something more important to him than anything else, and that is something that he's going to be focusing on, whatever the price would be. And so we're going to take a closer look at what that means, particularly when we talk about U.S. probes into Adani Group as well, and then of course the nexus between that and Russian oil and Mr. Modi, and the way forward with of course 50% tariffs, which is a very high with regards to any other country that has been imposed with these tariffs by the United States. At the same time, of course, what this means politically and diplomatically for the country is very, very important, since about 5 rounds of dialogue also failed when we take a look at this current scenario. So what this would mean for the relationship and, of course, the impact that it will have on Pakistan remains to be seen and will be the focus of our discussion in the first segment of the show today. Our next one is going to take a look at what is going on at home with regards to our fight against the issue of terrorism in the country. We've seen that there have been 2 people who have unfortunately lost their lives and 18 others that have been injured reportedly with the remote control attack on a police van in South Waziristan. And this is something, of course, in line with the kind of spike in terrorist activities we have seen in the provinces of KP and Balochistan, and of course of utmost importance to Pakistan's fight and to the law and order situation to be controlled. And so what is going to be the mechanism and the way forward on that, and how do we tackle that, is something that we'll talk about at the end of the show. For this and more, as always in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farokh Patafi and Raja Faisal, and we've also been joined online by Ms. Shazia Malik, who's a political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ma'am, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. And Ms. Shazia, I want your take first when we take a look at the scenario given the relationship between the United States and India. We've seen that, of course, a series of diplomatic blows have been met by India, by the United States. And first it was a 25% tariff, and now there's an additional 25% penalty, which is a substantial figure. And so I want your take on what that means in terms of the political and economic relationship between the two countries, and why you think there has been this change.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity, Sana. Yes, this is something which is going to hurt India a lot, as even Congress MP Shashi Tharoor said that India and US have trade of something like 90 billion US dollars. So if things become more expensive, the Indian things become more expensive, the international market definitely is going to think twice if it is in their interest to buy from India. So this is one thing. Second thing is why this has happened. We really need to look at this, because Mr. Modi's government, although they said that I have 56 in chest and I have very good relationships and howdy Modi and namaste Trump and all those bromance was going on between all of this, the foreign office did not really play its role. Although Mr. S. Jaishankar, he says that he has been in diplomacy for the last 40 years. However, his diplomacy doesn't seem to work over here. And that is why today the opposition in India is so very upset. Just a few days back, even Rahul Gandhi said that, our economic condition is extremely bad after the Trump's comments. Today, TMC MP Abhishek Banerjee, he also has called this absolute diplomatic failure on part of the Modi government. Karnataka's Chief Minister Sadramia also called this blackmail, saying that Mr. Modi only knows how to do the headline diplomacy, but not really the economic diplomacy. Congress MP Karti Chidambaram also has been extremely upset, and he said that where is that special relationship that you talked about, Mr. Modi, that you had with Mr. Trump? Uddhav Thackeray, even, who belongs to Shiv Sena UBT, he also said that when Trump is mocking India and Narendra Modi, Mr. Modi is absolutely quiet. So Mr. Modi is quiet because of his friends Ambani's and Adani's, and all that trade that was going on between the two of them, and Mr. Modi's favorites, which created a problem in the world. Also, Trump is extremely upset with Mr. Modi because during Operation Sindhur, when constantly Pakistan was saying that Trump brokered this deal, India was constantly, rejecting that. And so I think what Jairam Ramesh said about Mr. Modi is absolutely right. He said believes in DDLJ. Now you must be thinking that DDLJ is Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol's movie Dil Wale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. No, it is not that. DDLJ in this context means deceit, distract, lie, and justify. This is what Modi government believes in, and so that is why they are facing the brunt of all of this.
Right, absolutely. And Ms. Shazia, when we take a look at the way in which Mr. Trump is actually moving ahead with different countries and the kind of scenarios that you see in terms of his foreign policy stance, we see a very different one with regards to Pakistan. And so I want your take in terms of when we take a look at these two countries. Of course, it's very, very integral to us in terms of a lot of core issues that still remain, including the occupied valley with India. So given the current posture of the Trump administration towards India, what sort of a situation do you think will that be for Pakistan, and how can it benefit these core issues?
Okay, I must congratulate, first of all, your country, Pakistan, that Pakistan has moved ahead very, very sensibly. Now, for the simple fact that you have not retaliated with the retaliatory tariffs, although a 19% tariff or so was also put on Pakistan. Also, because now it is in the interest of the US to sideline absolutely China, but they definitely need all these semiconductors and chips, and for that they need critical minerals. So Pakistan is in a very, very shining position at the moment. Pakistan has not really put any retaliatory tariffs. Pakistan also has not shown any aggressive attitude like Mr. S. Jaishankar, and they have dealt with this whole thing very nicely. Also on the issue of Kashmir, Trump is ready to take the stride, as you have rightly said. So Pakistan now needs to build on this. If they build on this, and if they keep telling what you are calling in Pakistan fitna khawarij, these Goras, they don't really understand this. You need to constantly say that it is Indian state-sponsored terrorism that is going on in our country, and US is really big on this. It is going to stand with you on all the things. It likes you, and that is why Mr. Asim Munir, the field marshal, also is going to US for the farewell ceremony of Mr. Kurilla. So you need to build on this. Your problems are going to be resolved if this a kind of diplomacy is carried out by your foreign office. Kudos to them, and your foreign minister and your finance minister and all the others. You are definitely going to benefit, and I'm sure in the long run the Kashmir problem will also come up. Your leadership now needs to press this, that India is the cause of terrorism, not only in the region, but across the globe. See where I am sitting in Canada. Even now, I'm going to talk to a few of the ministers. I was just on my way. That's why you see me in my car on this very issue of terrorism, because our people here in Canada are being killed by them. So if you build on these good relations, on trade, on crypto, on critical minerals, on now this oil and gas that the US is talking about, you will really be, Pakistan really be a shining star on the face of this earth.
Right. Ms. Shazia, with reference to what you've spoken about putting forward credible evidence, I want your take on the fact that Pakistan, of course, has been doing that, especially now after the recent India-Pakistan conflict, as well after the Pahalgam false flag operation. There has been a lot of emphasis in making sure that the world understands what's really going on, and the kind of state-sponsored terrorism that you mentioned is being talked about across all platforms. But I want your take on, in terms of the way that we have seen Indian false propaganda also also come about previously as well, and there's a lot of like campaigns going on extensively on that, such as the Ajisset Infolab as well that was cracked down. What sort of a response do you think can there be from the US administration on the international front in terms of lobbying for Pakistan or lobbying against India with regards to the kind of credible evidence that Pakistan has put forward? Because that's also what's required for the opinion of decision makers across the world and international opinion on India.
Yeah. Okay. This is a very good question. And I'm not really doubting anyone's intentions, or I'm not really doubting the good work that Pakistan has done previously. But I wanted to see more of your officials when they were going across the globe after, this Operation Sindhur, talking about India's transnational terrorism. And Pakistan, like you said, Pakistan has credible information. Pakistan had this information for years now. They have been telling the international community that all the problems in Pakistan are being financed by India. And I'm not really sure why your foreign office has not really talked about putting India in an FATF list for terror financing. You do not want to have all your information from Pakistan. You can absolutely quote Canada. You can quote, what was going on in England and what happened in Australia, where they found a nest of spies of, these Indians. What happened with the Gurpatwant Singh Pannu? They tried to kill him in US, a US citizen. So you have all the information from the Five Eyes as well, along with your own. But you just need to highlight that. All your officials who went abroad, they did not talk about this, these evidences and these things, like Hardeep Singh Nijjar killed here. A few days back in Canada, another businessman, Dada, was killed. They tried to kill people in England. They tried to kill people in US. In Australia, they were caught. So this thing Pakistan needs to play up more. They constantly need to talk about Harjeet Singh Nijjar. They constantly need to talk about Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, about this nest of spies busted in Australia, what happened in England, what happens in Pakistan then. But all of this should be talked about in this context to tell the world that this Modi regime, actually, it's a state-sponsored terrorism. I have repeated now this thing quite many times now, but this thing has to be drummed up in the world that it is now a state policy. They think that they are Mossad and they can enter any country and they can kill. You have the British newspapers talking about how raw agents are coming in Pakistan and they are killing. You can use all this, information from the international media, from Five Eyes, from CSIS here in Canada, from the FBI in US, and you can present to the world. I think you can make a very, very strong case then.
Right. Thank you very much, Ms. Shazia, for joining us and being a part of the debate today and sharing your valuable views with us. Farooq, when we take a look at the scenario, first, of course, with reference to this huge amount of tariffs that have been placed, this is, of course, something very, very substantial and points a serious dip in the relationship. But at the same time, how will Pakistan leverage from the scenario? I want both takes, please.
Right. Will you allow me to actually comment on what is going on so far? Because that is also important, right?
Of course.
Narendra Modi actually made a statement that actually frames the narrative as if he is going to be martyr in the story, right? He said that I'm going to actually defend the Indian farmers and dairy sector even at personal cost. He used the word vyaktigat, which is personal. So there seems to be the fact that he is up to something and he is trying to actually play the victim card. And a few days ago, if you might have noticed that he went and met with the Indian president. Shortly afterwards, Amit Shah also went and met her. And then there was an NDA meeting in which Narendra Modi kind of tipped Amit Shah as his successor. So there seems to be something going on. It seems that Modi feels that he is on the way out. And something else happened. A couple of days ago, I'm sure you must have actually discussed it yesterday also. Gautam Adani, the billionaire who is very close to Narendra Modi, stepped down from one of the major companies that he actually operates. And that is Adani Ports. It is the biggest company that he controls or he used to control, and now it has somebody else has been actually given the executive powers. Now, the question is what exactly is going on, because yesterday I was watching President Trump actually talking about Apple, and he was having a press conference with Apple CEO, and at that time India also came up, and you could feel that he is very angry with the country. And he said that while this 50% tariff has been imposed, there is a possibility that more will be imposed on the country. There can be a lot of secondary tariffs on the country. Now, what exactly is happening? I started actually digging into this thing, and the question was what exactly is going on, and why is it that Adani actually stepped away from Adani ports. And the facts amazingly actually came out, which are astounding. One, back in June, there was a report that Adani is being investigated by Justice Department on and particularly Mundra port, which is in Gujarat, which is being investigated that Iranian LPG was smuggled from India to West, and that was actually Adani's doing. Now, the question then is, why would that be such a big thing? Iran's fuel is being sold abroad, and India also buys it. Why would that, create that kind of situation? Now, interestingly, this takes us back to 3 days before President Trump was, he actually practically took over. And I'm talking about, early January, when outgoing government actually indicted three Indian entities for playing a part in smuggling something which is very important. That is, constituents of fentanyl, export of that to Mexico through that goes to India. And where was that happening? In Surat. In Surat, which is in Gujarat, and where again Mundra port was actually being used, which is operated by Gautam Adani. If you know, when Donald Trump actually came to power, at that time the first slate of sanctions he imposed were basically on China, on Mexico, on Canada. And what was it about? It was all about fentanyl. Fentanyl has become an epidemic in America, and thus far they had been actually blaming only China for that, and these two countries for being gateway of fentanyl into America. In America, every year around 1 lakh people or 100,000 people die of fentanyl. Now there seems that has been connected back to Adani's case and Mundra port. So Adani has immediately stepped aside only from the companies that might be implicated in this case. And because Narendra Modi, when he went and met Donald Trump, he basically spoke about the question, you remember, which had riled him up. It was about Adani. So there seems to be something going on, and something big is coming. And President Trump is not only angry because India did not acknowledge the contribution of America or Donald Trump in Operation Sindoor, or for that matter, the fact that during the campaign time, Modi went to America and did not meet Trump. It is something bigger, and there seems to be a huge smuggling ring which is involved, and Adani has been exposed. Maybe Narendra Modi is going down with that ship. So why not actually play the victim? So this is what is happening in India. Now Pakistan has been playing its cards well, because Pakistan immediately went and negotiated with America and got a good deal. Although there are people who will complain here as well that 19% is too much, but still 19% is lesser than India's 25%. So Pakistan keeps on playing its cards well. I think Operation Sindoor actually has cultivated the situation for us. But the scoop I gave you about fentanyl, Adani and Modi, that is going to bother India a lot, and you are going to see in coming days it is going to become a major news story.
Right. Faisal, when we take a look at this scenario, it's important, of course, to understand how is it that the BJP government is actually going to survive this. While, of course, he's spoken about that personal cost, he's spoken about standing up for the farmers of India. But what is really going on? Because it seems that internally the opposition is really playing this up.
Yes, Sana, obviously, wherever we are seeing India right now, I mean, it has everything to do with Pakistan. Why I say this? Because there is what we are seeing right now, it is carrying a domino effect. And we were the ones who actually dropped the first domino like this, and Pakistan actually gobsmacked India. I mean, when everyone talks about, India doing the illicit trade of the oil, and of course LPG, as Farooq has rightly pointed out,
and fentanyl.
Yeah, and they have been doing it since long. And do you think that Americans won't know about it? They would have known this since the day one it has been going on. And if we talk about India, they have been buying fuel from the Iranians as well. And how much? 425,000 barrels a day crude oil from the Iranians, knowing the fact that Iran has the sanctions on them, and Pakistan has been trying to, of course, get in the gas pipeline from there, Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline. We couldn't do it because they had sanctions on them. And why now and not before? America knew each and everything about whatever India was doing and Adani was doing and whoever was involved in these sort of things. But America wanted India against China, and they were thinking, they were assessing that India is a billionaire in terms of population and is good enough to challenge China, and they have been posing that threat towards China. And forget about China, I mean, they can't even stand against Pakistan, and May 2025 is an excellent precedent set by Pakistan, in which they are the ones who were forced to ring the Americans and ring Trump and Trump's office and Oval Office and get us out of this mess, get us out of this mess. And once Trump plays his role, they even wanted the diplomatic leverage as well, telling them you shouldn't be mentioning this, that India asked for your help against Pakistan. Why? Because this goes against their own political narratives and their own election, which is upcoming election, UP election, and they want to even safeguard that. Reason, the only reason right now India is in this mess, I would say, even the I mean, yesterday I mentioned this, that forget about 25% of the penalty which US is going to impose on them on the rest of the 25% of the tariff. They might reach to 100% of the tariff. And Farooq has rightly pointed out that things are heading towards that. Reason, there's only one reason, and that is that India is a failed country in terms of it can't defend itself, number one, and number two, it has its own priorities in terms of how they want to run their country and how they have a discrimination and discriminatory kind of government imposed in New Delhi, which is making sure that Hindutva ideology is persisting in today's India. Even they are up to change the name India to Bharat, and the only reason behind it is that Hindutva ideology does not believe in India, it believes in Bharat. And these are the things which are being looked into, and the major blow which was given to India and the domino since the day one it has started falling, that is Pakistan, that actually clicked the first one, and since then we are watching that India is shattered and tattered. And when we talk about in coming days what is going to happen, of course I think the world had enough of it, and they have been seeing the kind of illicit trade they were involved in, and they have been seeing the kind of export they had, and the biggest export the world has been watching coming from India, that was of course terrorism. I mean, my country and of course Shazia's country are two of the victims. She was from Canada, and two of them are victims, and America itself is a victim as well, because we know how how Yadav was caught and how Guptas were caught in New York while planning how to hire a hitman to kill Punnu. And when it comes to Niger, Niger couldn't be saved because he was, of course, murdered by the Indian proxies. And Pakistan is facing that, and Shazia was right that Pakistan should be highlighting, my country should be highlighting this, that Pakistan is actually fighting against a terrorism which is being funded by, financed, facilitated by India, and we are continuously, of course, fighting against that. Now the world has started realizing this, and now US is up for it. That is why they are coming more towards Pakistan, because they have by now they have known that Pakistan is the geostrategic player in this region rather than India. I mean, India might be bigger in size, might be bigger in population, but when it comes to muscle, they don't have any muscles. They might be having 56 inch of chest, but in that chest there is nothing but the sound, and that's it.
Right, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, regarding Niger episode, but I also wanted to talk about fentanyl. But this guy that you are seeing on your screen, India's James Bond is 80-year-old. So the Indian James Bond Ajit Doval, since he is 80-year-old, he still is fighting the 1980s war, right? Particularly whatever went on in Punjab. Right now, there's hardly any imminent threat regarding Punjab, separatism or Khalistan, whatever have you. But these guys are still stuck in past, so they keep on actually scoring these own goals, killing people on foreign land, especially countries that have played a very important role, particularly Five Eyes and Israel's intelligence have played a very important role in mainstreaming India and actually juxtaposing India as a counterweight to China, right? And you go to those countries and you start killing their nationals, no matter what the excuse and for what, it doesn't even matter. Regarding fentanyl, you're talking about one person killed here, two people being attempted murders, right? But now we are talking about fentanyl. So fentanyl kills 100,000 Americans per annum. Just imagine if Adani's fingerprints are on that, and if that has been traced back to Narendra Modi's patronage and Amit Shah, by the way. Remember that Niger story was being handled by, and Pannu's particularly episode was being handled through Bishnoi and other gangs and God knows what else by Amit Shah. So all this criminality is going to, it has created a stench. This stench is being tracked back to their original source, and because of that, the Western capitals and their leaders are really riled up. You are only talking about one country. You are talking about the US. Other countries are not forgiving either, and they remember what India is trying to do. Fentanyl kills Canadians also. Fentanyl kills Australians also, New Zealanders also. Fentanyl kills umpteen others, and that is not all. Iran has also, because there was mention of this Iranian LPG, Iran is also a direct route to hot waters and to China, Chab Bahar port to Indian, shipping lanes, and from Afghanistan. And Afghanistan is a poppy source as well. So heroin also is a killer after fentanyl and the US. So and by the way, there were 8 raids on Adani's ports in India, which found out that there was massive quantity of heroin, right? So all of this is now connecting, and these people, particularly Western leaders, are very angry, unfortunately, because Indian media has lost the capacity to understand what is going on, and Indian diaspora is really fed up with Modi. Because of that, nobody is volunteering the real information. But if you ask, all this information is readily given.
Right, absolutely. We're now going to take a look at our next segment that takes a look at Pakistan's current fight against the issue of terrorism. And of course, it's been something that has been going on for a while. And what's your take on this first, given the fact that we've just seen what has happened in South Waziristan with a remote-controlled attack on a police van. And this is, of course, part of a series of attacks that we've seen, particularly in KP and Balochistan. And while the resolve is there, while we re-emphasize on our fight, and in principle, of course, there is the way forward in terms of the National Action Plan. But we also, of course, know that the preparedness exists on all fronts in terms of our security forces. At the end of the day, what is needed for an end to this, for an elimination to this that we've achieved before as well, and in the ways that we can handle and tackle that within our borders and outside our borders?
Yes, and obviously when we talk about how to handle with it, of course we know that there is a jirga going on as well right now. Now, of course, the outcomes are still expected out of it, that there will be a good outcome of it. But it was being expected that at least during jirga there won't be any attacks, but this is the design, because we know that the kind of people we are fighting against, they are of course getting orders from New Delhi, and they have been getting these orders 24/7 since India lost the war. Since India lost against Pakistan in May 2025. Since then, of course, they have been working extra hours to make sure that they can somehow avenge Pakistan against Pakistan, because the loss they have actually taken from Pakistani side. But overall, of course, when we look at this aspect, that whether Pakistan is doing enough, Pakistan is doing more than enough in terms of our IBOs which are being conducted by the intelligence services and the security forces. They are of course hand in glove in that, and even the ground intelligence is being extended to Pakistan's intelligence services, and that is in place in there. And overall, countering the terrorist, TTP, BLA, BLF, ISKP, all of these monsters, of course, they have been at the target of Pakistan's security forces. And if we are seeing that one or two attacks are considered as successful attacks in terms of now they are keeping a distance and doing the activities, of course they are getting the tech support as well from New Delhi, because this is what the modus operandi of New Delhi is, that they want a hype in all of these activities against Pakistan. They want to make sure that somehow Pakistan security forces are getting the kind of reply from the Indian side. But of course, overall situation is under control, and Pakistan is making sure that the resolve is there, the military resolve is there, and all of these militants, they are being countered. But at the same time, when we talk about diplomacy, Pakistan is playing a good diplomacy with our neighboring Afghanistan, because end of the day they have to make sure as well that their land is not being used against Pakistan, which actually is being used by TTP and by BLA, BLF and ISKP with the help of course Indians. They have to make sure that this doesn't happen. And of course the diplomatic channels are working their ways, and at the same time the local jirgas, they are working their ways as well. I am hoping that very soon there will be a solution to this very problem, but till then, of course, Pakistan's security forces and intelligence services, they are making sure that Pakistan is secure enough.
Right. Farooq, your take on this?
Yeah, regarding the modus operandi in this event, this terrorist incident, it is quite different from what usually happens. Usually you have suicide bombers, right? Here, a planted bomb actually exploded. So the question is whether it was TTP, which organization actually took responsibility, and then we have these monkeys on our back like Indian intelligence operatives working in Pakistan as well. So what I see at this moment is, you must have seen very many disparate news items in recent days, something about corruption, something about property, something about something else. All of that is connected with one thing, and people are misreading it totally because our media also doesn't have the capacity. It is about counterintelligence. All those loose threads within the country that could have been exploited by the country's enemies, may it be India, may it be TTP, BLA or whatever have you, all of that is being removed as we speak. So one thing is for sure, when you actually try to treat an ailment, it pushes back and your body actually has temperature. So at this moment what is happening is that the government of Pakistan the state of Pakistan, the law enforcement agencies are really going after all these elements. And of course, there is this engaging with Afghan Taliban also, and then engaging with them through other intermediaries also, like China, elsewhere, the Arab countries. So all of that is focused on ensuring that all this terrorism goes away. Unfortunately, it still is there, but I think that it is on its last leg, and this is like you're trying to apply a cure, and your body is just developing fever. There is an impact, there is a reaction, but sooner or later this will go away.
Right. Thank you, Farooq. Thank you, Faisal, for joining us in the debate as always. That's all that we have time for. We'll now see you tomorrow.